Hi, so today I will be talking a little bit more on rental. So today I will be giving quite a bit of tips on how you go about getting a good tenant and also managing the tenant through the tenancy period and having a very fast free tenancy, because I understand that many owners, many investors, one of the key issues that they don't really like properties because they find that there's a lot of hassle when managing this tenancy. Okay, and it's not so simple as to just finding a tenant, opening the door, showing the tenant, getting offers, and then renting it out. There's a little bit more thought process that goes into it. So let me share here. Alright, I usually differentiate to two segments: the marketing phase and the during the tenancy phase. So during the marketing period, alright, upon getting a unit, there's a little bit more thought process. You must understand what is the unit's value proposition, what is the unique feature. Should it be rented out as a non-furnished, as a fully furnished unit? And as a fully furnished unit, what are the kind of furnishing that you should provide in that area in today's demand for that unit type? So it's not a one-size-fits-all approach. There's a lot of things that goes into it. Okay, and when we find a tenant, at least for myself, based on my market knowledge, based on how I look at how I look at people and based on my experience on understanding their profile type, I can more or less know that, hey, this is a good tenant, this is a so-so tenant, and maybe this is a tenant that we want to avoid. So these are some of the important things that we are selecting the unit. And of course, we must also know what is the market condition at that point of time, right? Do we have an upper hand to rent out, to hold up for a higher price, possibly even factoring in some vacant period? Or should we let go because there are a lot of supply coming up soon, or even at that point, let's say for a TOP condo? So there are many factors involved, and you have to put everything in and then find the best solution. Okay, so that is for the first phase. And then the second part would be during the tenancy. So what happens during the tenancy, I always want to emphasize this, it's having a very good relationship with the tenant. I mean, this has been reiterated many times for myself to my clients, and the emphasis has never been so much before, especially during this pandemic. Okay, what do I mean by that? So during this pandemic, I guess there was some tenants that will be asking for rent reduction, or maybe when they are looking for extension of lease, it can be just on a rolling basis rather than as a 1 year or 2 year new contract. So if you know that this tenant, for example, if you know that this tenant it has been a good tenant, prompt on payment, taking good care of the unit, timely updates on the unit if there's anything that needs to be done, and just be very responsible and doesn't give you a lot of headache. Sometimes it is also a tenant that is very, very easygoing. They take up repair, they just report, and then they do it out on their own without troubling the landlord. So these are generally good tenants that you want to keep. So by having a very good relationship with them, they also know that you are a good landlord and you have a good team. So landlord together with the agent, and then it can be reciprocated both ways. Alright, so these are the tenants that you want to keep, and they are also very willing because that they know that you are a good landlord team. They want to continue on. So when you're managing all this negotiation during this pandemic, during the extension, the rent extension, it will be easier. Okay, but also there might be issues whereby they need to break lease, let's say, because of the diplomatic clause, or if there's no diplomatic clause, let's say they are posted because it's a less than 1 year tenancy and they are posted overseas, things like that, they need to go home. So when you manage it well, the entire transition it's very, very smooth flowing, because they will be giving in a lot at the same time. So having a good relationship is very, very important. How do you do it? It can be through a very good agent that has been always checking up on them. Even you yourself, you can be buying gifts during some occasions, or just a simple happy birthday message or how are you on any other day. So these are quite important. All right, I can't stress more. Also, maybe I just give you another example, a negative one of a not so good relationship. You know, this relationship, it's not just during the tenancy. If you hear what I say for the first segment, it actually ties in together. Okay, so it's about finding a good tenant in the first place, a good profile tenant in the first place, and then managing it, having a very good relationship. So one negative example is, during this pandemic, a not so good tenant would actually take advantage of it. And let's say their lease is ending, they're not renewing, or the landlord want to sell the unit. So this current tenant might be very difficult might be posing a challenge, might be very difficult, don't want to allow viewings to take place for that reason. So these are some of the challenges that I'm also facing for myself, of some of the units that I'm trying to sell or trying to rent out. So to mitigate this, like I say, just to summarize everything again, is to find a good profile tenant, doing the right form of marketing, and managing the relationship well. With these two, you will have a good tenancy, a good tenant, and a very good investment unit and tenancy that you don't need to be trouble with. All right, thank you.